I loved the idea of when I was trying to do a cooking demo on a piece of equipment, but then they're asking me, well, what do you think of this with labor? And what do you think of this with the menu idea of how we can do this, this, and this? And you're like, this has nothing to do with equipment. This is a great idea. You do this, you can do that, you can do that. And you're like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. Thank you. Especially when they're people just coming into the industry or just taking over a new role in K-12 or anything like that. They're just full of questions, and being able to be that support from them is really nice. And then also offering equipment.
Well, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Culinary 360 podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chef Robert.
I'm Chef Ryan.
And today we want to introduce you to Chef Paul. What an honor to have him. Chef Paul is the newest Ignite chef based in Denver at our kitchen there. And today we're going to find all about Paul and a little bit about him personally and professionally. And so, Paul, welcome to the Culinary 360 podcast. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you guys over the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited to see where we go today with this podcast. I've been in the restaurant business for just about 40 years. I started cooking when I was 16 years old. Started washing dishes with a bunch of hippies up in Evergreen, Colorado.
Nice.
So started there and just kind of moved into doing line work. And over time, always had the opportunity to, when I was thinking about going to culinary school, an opportunity to become a manager kind of came along, and just kind of kept climbing that managerial ladder. So being a sous chef at different restaurants in Boulder and kind of making my rounds throughout the Denver area.
Nice. So you were born and raised in Colorado?
I was born in Wyoming, but my folks moved to Colorado in 1973. So my mom is still up at that same house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you have the Evergreen connection too, right?
We're next door neighbors, actually. We grew up together.
Yeah, we are. Ryan went to a different high school, but we're miles apart, just a few miles apart up there, actually, believe it or not. So
small world.
Yeah, it is.
So you're about 3 weeks in here to Ignite. Yep. So we've been onboarding you in Denver and Phoenix and also up there in Kent, Seattle, Washington.
Who was your favorite person to train with?
It had to...
Choose wisely.
Of course, it was Robert. I spent 2 really close weeks with Robert.
It was
a week there.
The correct answer would have been Carl when you first got to the office.
For my first day, Carl. Yes, that's right. Onboarding with Carl. That was a magical afternoon.
Anytime with Carl is magical.
Ryan, do you got any tissues there? You've got a little bit of stuff on your nose there. You might want to wipe off.
I just have to just talk about Carl real quick and how much I appreciate him and just everything. That should buy me another year at Ignite, I think.
That should be good. Yeah. Carl's not here, although I'm in his office. He's not here, so it's good. So we can.
No, thank God. Well, he probably won't listen to this one either.
So how did you find out about the Ignite job, and what brought you into the Ignite fold, and what attracted you to wanting to be part of the Sparky team?
Let's see. I came across the job posting about 9 months ago. Thought about it. I'd been doing some other work for some other manufacturing companies, and I really enjoyed the opportunity going in and helping folks as far as their equipment goes, kind of get their equipment set up and kind of be in the knowledge and the reference for them in regards to that one company that I worked for. So there were several of my associates had recommended that I check out the Ignite position, and checked it out. And I think back in the fall, I had applied at another job, actually, and I believe, Robert, you had called me. You wanted to schedule an interview, and I had to kind of turn that down at the time because I had taken that other position. So, that's what brings me here. The last couple of months, somebody had recommended it once again. So I kind of followed the path that the universe was laying out for me and gave it a shot. So here I am.
Yeah. And so when you were down here in Denver, I'm in Phoenix. When we were down here in Phoenix, I just happened to have scheduled a skills class for one of my school districts. And it was focused mostly on knife skills. And that's something that you had done in your previous job at the nonprofit. Could you tell everybody a little bit about maybe a little bit more about the skills class that you had taught and how you were able to take that information into the class that we had here in Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me start with talking a little bit about the nonprofit. It's an organization that's dear to my heart. I've been associated with them for almost 15 years. I was the executive chef for them. The name of the nonprofit is Work Options. I was the executive chef for them about 15 years ago, left to explore some other opportunities. And while I was away, I was invited to be on the board of directors. So I served on the board of directors for a number of years. A really close friends with the director, the executive director, Julie Stone, just an amazing woman. And back in the fall, an opportunity came up to be the executive chef again. So I jumped on that opportunity. And, Work Options is a job training program. We help folks who were maybe justice involved or may be experiencing homelessness or maybe experiencing any kind of other obstacles that may come up in their life. So we were providing a 5-week intensive culinary training program. But mainly what we focused on was accountability. And we also provided some of the wraparound services. So if folks needed help with transportation, if they needed help um, with housing. We had students who didn't know where they're going to be laying down that night when they were done with class. So we would help them get into a shelter and help them get some stable housing, and then also help them navigate the world of government, subsidies and everything else that is available to them. So not only did we teach them a valuable skill, which included accountability and attendance and responsibility, but we provided those wraparound services.
Nice.
And those students, after they graduated, have access to those wraparound services for the rest of their life. So the next couple of years, if somebody has a rough time and they need to get a bed, if they need some help with transportation, they can call the folks at Work Options, and they'll help them get all that started. So one of the things that I did, it was a culinary training program. And the first Monday of their session, they would spend the day with me doing knife skills. So we had a platform called Ruby it was a video training program. We would put them in front of a video for about 45 minutes, and then we'd take them into the kitchen and we would start teaching them how to handle a knife. And we started with some real basics. I think what you and I started with, Robert, when we had that group in last week, is we would give our students we would give them just a bench scraper so that they were comfortable holding the bench scraper like they would hold a knife. And then we also practiced the claw so that they were not losing a fingertip, so that they could hold their hands safely and not lose a fingertip. So I would spend 6 hours with them just doing the basics on knife skills.
Nice.
So by the time we'd start with the potato. Accuracy wasn't important. It was more about the motion of the knife, rocking the knife through the cutting board, keeping your fingers safe, being aware of the positioning of your hand so that you weren't losing those fingertips. And we would start with just dicing the potato, and I would work my way through a basic mirepoix, carrots, onions, celery. And then we would move on to a little bit finer dice. By the end of the day, we were doing brunoise of potatoes and tomatoes and some other vegetables as well. So it just really gave everybody an opportunity to feel comfortable and confident and help build their confidence as they started their journey through our culinary program.
Yeah,
Nice.
at least I forget how much of it's just muscle memory. I don't even think about anything when I pick up a knife anymore. I just pick it up, and I instantly knife over here, my steel over here, take care of that, and just I don't even think about it. It's just happens.
Yeah, it's automatic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think that's one of the bigger things too, that, you just have to do it a lot, and it becomes that muscle memory. And,
Yeah,
that's how
becomes
you
second
just
nature,
become,
right?
yeah, you, you just become safe then too, because you just always know where to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And
So
then,
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool starting with these folks
Mhm.
who really hadn't been in a kitchen before and kind of watched their confidence build. You could see how nervous they were
Yeah.
handling a 10-inch chef's knife. We taught them how to walk through the kitchen with it, how to get it off the cutting board, how to wash it, all of that. And by the end of the day, they were feeling really good and they were feeling really confident. So that was kind
Nice.
of cool to kind of see that really quick development.
Yeah. And
That's
then
awesome. I mean,
our school district, a couple of the people really knew what they were doing. Some people, they learned a couple of new things. And then we also, because they requested, because this is what they use at the school, green onions, cilantro, and what was the fourth item?
Green onions,
Tomatoes.
radishes, cilantro, tomatoes. Yeah, we did
So
tomatoes.
so then I gotten a couple of other things too. We had some after we went through those basic skills, then I showed them more how to clean the seeds out of the tomato and do a really fine chop on that, or really small brunoise. And we also showed them how to chiffonade the spinach leaves, and that
Yes.
was a new one to them, because they knew they had done the chopping of the cilantro, but now all of a sudden that nice fine chiffonade was a new one. So yeah. So I can't wait to take this to other districts. So all of you school districts who are out there listening to us, if you want a knife skills PD day in one of our kitchens, let us know, and we will arrange that, and we'll even throw a pizza and salad party at the end.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was the best part. Having all those lunch ladies throw pizzas around. They had a
Yep.
lot of fun with that. So
Yep.
that was pretty cool.
Very nice. So what's been your favorite part so far, minus that class with Ignite?
I think it's just, I think the favorite part is being with a group of people that are passionate about what they do. It sounds like I'm blowing smoke up everybody, but, it's fun to kind of walk in and see how excited everybody is every day, and to kind of see the new equipment and, learning the new equipment, learning some of the new programs and how that all works. But I think going back to how excited and passionate everybody is about the job that they do.
Yeah.
So it's really refreshing, from the time that I visited Robert in Arizona and met the sales team down there, to the time I went up to the Pacific Northwest and met your team, Ryan. It was really exciting. People were really anxious to share what they knew and kind of give me some insight, and to kind of lead me along here as I get started.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. People at Ignite are fun.
They are fun. Yeah, it's a fun group.
Wait until we go to Mexico. You're going to love that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see how that goes.
You never think of Mexico as a cold place, and then you hang out with Robert in his down jacket on the beach, and then you realize maybe Mexico's not that warm.
Oh, it's only 70 degrees. I mean, it's not, it's not really warm.
I think everybody who wants to, I was with Robert for a week in Arizona, and his rule is the air conditioner doesn't go on until it's 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So, we're cruising around with the windows down, just waiting, watching the thermometer kind of climb up to 89, and then he's like, "Oh, it's 90. We can go now." So,
and you're just sitting in the passenger seat sweating. You're like, "Thank God."
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm riding with the new guy. I'm sweating like a pig with the boss here."
Yeah,
So,
I've got the thermostat in the kitchen set at 80 right now today, and it's really nice. Yeah.
And what's the temperature outside?
Oh, my computer's telling me it's 78 degrees outside.
And you have your thermostat at 80.
Yeah.
Man,
So the heat's kicking on. So I got the heat on.
Sweating so much.
it's fun.
Oh man, that's wild.
So Ryan, you missed out. We went to Glabon for dinner while Paul was here in town.
We did. That was an
awesome.
absolutely amazing dining experience.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Glabon is a Thai restaurant here in Central Phoenix. It's in an old house, and the chef has been nominated for James Beard Awards, and the food is so awesome. And we had the deep fried oyster mushrooms again, and that comes with like a hot, sour, salty, sweet dipping sauce that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that place was really good.
Yeah,
that was an amazing meal. It really was good.
Yeah. We cooked some good food up here at least, though, huh?
We did, and then, I went to Katsu Burger up there, and that was pretty darn good. That was good. That was a great dining experience as well. Nothing like a good fried pork chop sandwich.
Was that David's recommendation?
It was mine.
Oh, it was yours. Okay.
My hotel was right next to that, so it was.
Oh,
it was on
were
my
you at
list.
that nasty Hampton Inn?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Really?
Was that the one that you stayed at?
Yeah, that's the one that I checked out as soon as I checked in.
It was fine.
I guess I got some different standards than you. Maybe
Yeah,
I might have
guess,
to keep my eye on you.
Yeah. Maybe they cleaned up their act. I don't know. It wasn't bad at all.
Okay. Yeah, I got to my room and I went right back downstairs, and I'm like,
Did you?
I actually called Hilton, and I'm like, We got, I need help. And I went back downstairs and I'm like, yeah, Hilton's letting me check out, and I, I'm going somewhere else.
Oh,
Oh
no,
my
it
gosh.
was clean. It was clean and quiet. It was
Okay.
fine.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
man.
Well, yeah. I'll have to tell
It's
my wife that, and she'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I believe it."
No, Robert, you don't have ODC. You're fine. You're completely normal.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
So any wife, kids?
I ha
What's your personal life like? Let's get deep.
I am not married. I have a son who's 23 years old. I think he's 23, 22. Just graduated. He'll be out here in a couple of weeks to straighten me out. So he
Nice.
always gives me a hard time because I can't remember his birthday. But yeah,
He's a
I'm
lacrosse
very
coach?
proud of. He isn't. He's involved in lacrosse.
Okay,
He's not a lacrosse coach.
okay,
He coaches some club, but he works for a company called Score Break, which does kind of stats and highlight films for coaches and for college programs. So
Cool.
he does sales for them. So he's been working with them for about a year and a half. He was going to do his MBA, but this opportunity came along, so he decided to pass on the, the the MBA program at this time and just kind of go and work. And he's been doing great. He had started a nonprofit called Play It Back Lacrosse, and which was an opportunity for him to kind of collect used and discarded lacrosse equipment and kind of
mm,
introduce lacrosse to underprivileged communities.
wow,
So
that's very
he
nice.
actually kind of kicked off. His first kickoff was in Africa. He went to Africa. He went to Rwanda as part of
Ah,
his MBA program, and he took a bunch of sticks and balls with him. And I've got some great videos of him teaching some of these kids in Rwanda how to play lacrosse.
That's awesome.
So he's trying to set up these programs with them. He's got some connections in Mexico, and he's still trying to get this thing kicked off. So it's been great. He's trying to help grow the sport, and he's very excited about it. Lacrosse has been good for him and good for me as far as a parent goes. So it's been a great ride so far.
That's awesome. Cool to hear.
nice.
Yeah. So you lived in Evergreen, went to school up
Yes,
there.
yes.
What other parts of Colorado have you lived in?
I have lived in Boulder and Denver. That's about it. I have
Nice.
not done a lot of traveling in my career. All my opportunities were here. So you know, if you're familiar with the Denver area, I'd worked in a lot of great Denver restaurants. I started at Cliff Young's way back when in the late 80s. Denver's one of Denver's premier five-star, fine dining establishments back in the day. And then I made a connection with a couple of folks up in Boulder, and I opened up Jack's Fish House here in Denver and Boulder, Zolo Grill. I had the opportunity to open up my own restaurant. I owned a barbecue restaurant for a period of time. Opened up the Capitol Grill here in Denver,
Oh,
and
nice.
just kind of had some great opportunities come my way.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I was
think
a problem child with Colorado. I lived in Lakewood, Golden, Wheat Ridge, Denver,
yeah,
Evergreen, my car.
nice.
Yeah, that's great. So I mean, it's kind of interesting to think about too, is like we all have been in restaurants and stuff like that, and then coming out and like being a rep chef or something like that. Like, what's your mindset kind of like that? Do you think it's I don't know, how do I say this like correctly? Do you think it's like a good job for a chef coming out of like retirement from the kitchen and like still being able to do this kind of stuff you do, or do you think it's a little bit more challenging?
I think it's a natural transition. You know, I think what's really cool. I think when I talked to Robert when I was doing the interview, the job in my career, I've had the opportunity to talk and to work with different people. You know, I've done school food service, I've done job training, I've worked in the university settings, so you know, I think I bring a background like that of being able to communicate, to talk to people, and to coach them. And, you know, pivoting out of the kitchen full time, you know, it's great. It's nice not being chained to the stove, 40 hours a week anymore.
Yeah.
So it's good to get out. And I think it gives us the opportunity to be able to step out like we can. We can kind of elevate and kind of get out of the white noise, right? We can kind of rise above and help. You know, if it's not of a piece of equipment, maybe we can make a recommendation on a process
Yeah.
or make a change and subtly kind of make that suggestion. So I think that's where, you know, I think my strength and what I really enjoy about being the rep chef and being in this type of a role is to kind of give that insight, and then also to kind of listen, right? You want to see, you're always going to be learning, but to kind of share some ideas if you see something at someplace else, and then share that idea with somebody. I think it's pretty cool to do that.
Hey, Ryan,
Yeah, definitely.
because you've been in this role how long now?
It'll be 3 years in June.
3 years. Okay, and it's totally new to you. What do you think was
Totally
the
new. Yeah.
hardest thing to? What was the biggest challenge or the hardest thing to understand with what we do?
Man, at first I thought it was like super overwhelming. And I think, like you have to know all this different equipment, you have to know all this stuff and everything like that. Then it's like, okay, but the sales guys kind of take a lot of that away from you, which is really nice. But I think I was overthinking that way too much when I first started. I think the challenging part was really remembering everything about different pieces of equipment and what they do exactly and how to make it fit in other people's restaurants or schools or things like that the right way. The cooking part was a different challenge for me too, because kind of like what Paul was saying, it was flat tops and ranges my whole life in convection ovens. So learning how to take what I cooked in convection ovens and use it in a combi oven, and then um, even like fryers. I've used fryers a few times, right, but not like a whole bunch doing brunch. Um, so I think that was the biggest challenge for me, was kind of just learning how to cook out of the equipment and do it right and correctly. And then also the sales meetings of the first demos and things like that, I felt so robotic of like, this is this oven and it does this, this, and this, and here, watch this and do this. Now it's more a casual, you come into the kitchen and I'm like, hey, how are you? What do you want to cook? You want to hang out and just cook food and be chill? And like, they feel more comfortable now, than I'm sure when they first came in. And then, we're not really, I really looked at it at the beginning too of we're salesmen. So I was trying to sell stuff to people and not necessarily fit their needs of what they need with the equipment. So that changed my perspective of like what a sales job is, I guess, especially with the role that we have.
Right, because all you're really doing is offering solutions and you're trying to find out what their challenges are, not only what they're
Exactly.
telling you, but there might be other things that just aren't coming up in the conversation at the moment. And so you're
Yep.
digging a little deeper and really trying to figure out what is best for them.
Yeah, and I loved the like idea of when I was like trying to do a cooking demo on a piece of equipment, but then they're asking me, "Well, what do you think of this with like labor and like what do you think of this with
Mhm.
like the menu idea of how we can do this, this, and this?" And you're like, "This has like nothing to do with the equipment. Like this is a great idea. You do this, you can do that, you can do that." And they're like, "Oh my god, that's such a good idea. Thank you."
Yeah.
Especially when they're people just coming into the industry or just taking over a new role in K-12 or anything like that. They're just full of questions, and like being able to be that support from them is really nice. And then also offering equipment.
Yeah, Paul, I think you mentioned well, I know you mentioned to me that you had helped out another manufacturer and you were doing demonstrations for them. And after we did a few presentations here for customers and interacted with them, that this was a lot different of a role than you thought, because we are just talking to them and offering them solutions and letting them make up their mind. We're not beating them over the head trying to sell them something. It's not that used car salesman mentality of, I'm
Right.
gonna hook this one today. No, it's, we're, that's part of the Spark 360 is that long-term relationship.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about it. I think, you and I had that conversation about kind of getting away from some of the previous scripts that I had, and then just being able to hang out with Ryan last week. We walked into a couple of those school settings and just watching him just kind of ease in. And we had some folks that weren't really thrilled about the equipment that was installed in their kitchen. That wasn't ours. We didn't, well, it was our equipment, but we didn't install it. It was kind of forced upon them. But Ryan was like, well, here, cool. Let me just show you how this works. We'll just turn this on and let's just steam some broccoli and just kind of see how it goes. It was much more organic. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And then there was no hard sell involved with that. He's like, if you guys have any questions, here's my card. When you're ready, give me a shout. Well,
Yep.
I'll come on over and we'll get this going.
And I still get scared going and doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've done it for almost 3 years now. And I was even telling Paul before going to the schools, I'm like, oh my God, man, I always get so nervous going in and doing this. Like I just feel like so uncomfortable sometimes, like walking back there and just being like, hi, I'm Ryan. What can I
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Like
I
that
think
moment,
for,
it's like,
I
what
think
do you
for,
do with your hands?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're not salesmen, so it's not always easy to kind of walk in, and I think we know what it's like to have somebody walk in your kitchen with a spec sheet and be like, "Hey, we got a
Right.
sale on green beans this week.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't too busy."
Yeah.
You know, so you don't want to be that guy. You know,
Yeah. I know you're in the middle of your rush, but check
I know
out
you're in
this
the middle
sweet
of the
corn
rush,
I have.
and I know that you have a barbecue restaurant, but we have a sale on green beans.
Yeah.
So you know, great. Thank you.
Can I
Thank you.
interest you in ordering some strawberry sorbet? No, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you do brunch? Would you be interested in ice cream? No,
Nope.
I'm not at all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, we're really happy that you're part of the team. Excited, especially it was a lot of fun hanging out with you last week and just getting to know you.
Yeah, it was a good week.
Yeah, we spent a
It's
lot of
good.
time in the car, that's for sure, on our first day.
We
so
did, yeah. Robert and I did as well. So yeah, we spent a lot of time driving around, but it was good.
Yeah.
Good to get to know you guys a little bit, and then see your different approaches as we visited other other organizations and other schools. So it was good.
Yeah. It's kind of nice to look at it that way, though, too. It's like everyone has their different regions, right? And different clientele, and everybody has their own different personalities where we all run our kitchens just completely different. There's not like a set in stone way of you have to do it this, and this way. It's like be
Right.
yourself, run
Right.
your kitchen how you want, get people in and make them excited to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's been some of the most exciting stuff that I've heard from you guys. Is just it's your kitchen, kind of do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Get it set up, bring in what you need to do, and when you're doing your demos, stick with the highlights, but go from there. Kind of freelance a little bit, like you said, Ryan. Start talking to the customer and figure out what they're doing. If they don't
Yeah.
want to see you doing prime rib, if they don't want to see you doing tater tots in some of the equipment, you just move on.
Yeah.
Let's find out what they do want to do and go see if I have some of that in the refrigerator and get them excited about what we offer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to sell a piece of equipment to a Mexican restaurant doing, I don't know, sushi. I don't know. You know why that would be something I would come up with. Who the hell does sushi out of an oven? Well, guys, it was nice working with you at Ignite. I'm going to go ahead and start applying for new jobs after Carl hears that.
Well, I think, we've all been in this business long enough. And I think, when I was working for that other manufacturer, walking into somebody's kitchen, I would kind of do the final training and kind of do the sign off on it. And I'd look at the equipment and I would just ask myself, why is this isn't the right piece of equipment? This just isn't right. So
Yeah.
I think that's what's unique about our position with the three of us is we can talk to the customers, kind of figure out what they're doing. And we're kind of empowered to say, you know what? Maybe we need to look in a different direction.
Yeah.
We ultimately want the sale. We want to make the customer happy, but we want them to have the right equipment.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that you bring that up too. And we have so much to offer with all the different types of equipment that we actually do get to rep, to where it's like exactly what you said. No, that's not going to work in here. Like you do not need this oven at all. Don't
Right.
spend thousands of dollars on something you're just going to have sit there. Then it's going to hold your sheet trays later.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of a nice part about this too. It's like, no,
I
you
know-
don't need an oven. You need a mixer. Spend the money on the mixer.
Exactly.
You're a dough company. I crack myself up.
Well, at least someone laughs at you.
Yeah, thank you. You guys aren't laughing at me though. You're laughing with me, right?
Yes,
right.
of course.
We are laughing with you. Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yes,
Hey,
indeed.
what's the first thing that you're going to cook in your new kitchen without like Robert being there or,
I think, I'm going to do some overnight cooking. I'm going to give that a shot and do some cold smoking and get some roasted chicken in some of the units
Nice.
here. So kind of see where we're at. Like I said, fine tune my timing and my temperatures and some of my settings. So I'm confident so that I can talk to the customer tomorrow and just know that food's cooking behind me and it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
And-
I always remind the customers when they come in, I'm not selling the food. So if it comes out burnt and it doesn't taste good, it's my fault, not the equipment. We're selling the equipment.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the hard part for us too. Sometimes is to kind of dial down the food. You know, we want to kind of have some fun and flex our muscle, but it's more about the equipment and it's more about the kind of result of the product once we put it in the oven
Yeah.
and how it's all going to perform.
You going to make the
Love it.
quesadillas in the pico de gallo?
You know, I think I'll do the quesadilla. I'm not sure if I'm up for doing the pico de gallo yet. I'll see. But we'll see. We'll see
Oh,
who comes
push
in. I'm
yourself.
just
It's
as we're
easy.
talking now.
Takes 10 seconds.
I know. I got to find the parts. I came in today and my my equipment was all over the kitchen, so I got to find the dicing
Oh,
kit now.
yeah.
So, and as we're speaking, I'm getting emails about more folks joining us tomorrow. So I'll find out who's coming in, and
Good for
I'll
you.
probably crank up the salsa tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so like I had a bunch of pico de gallo left over and I just threw it in a container and threw it in the freezer. And I did a barbecue for ASA training, the service agencies last week. They were in town training in my kitchen and learning from the factories. And I did, with the barbecue that I did, I made beans. And so I just used all that pico in the beans and it worked. It came out really good because now
Yeah,
I
I'm
had
sure it was
onions
great.
in there. I just let everything simmer. And yeah,
Yeah,
it added a lot to the beans.
Nice.
cool, nice.
Yeah.
Did you do the beans overnight? Did you do them in
No,
with
no,
on the
I
one of the
I
braising programs?
I flew home the night before,
Ah,
so I didn't have time to prep, so I had to get canned beans, and luckily I've got that cooking hold in my kitchen at home, so I picked up
oh
a couple of
yeah.
pork butts and roasted them in my cooking hold at home, and then
Must be nice.
Nice,
brought them back in the
nice,
next morning.
awesome.
So which piece of equipment so far is your favorite?
You know, I really like the flexibility of the Converge. You know, I really like that with the being able to you know, have the multiple chambers going, being able to kind of you know, to steam and to kind of do some high searing, some high grilling. That is and the size of that equipment and the fact that it's ventless, that's really, you know, that's a really cool piece of equipment. So I'm really excited by that one. I can't wait to get the pasta machine fired up. You know, it's
Nice.
pasta, but it's
Mhm.
simple, and it's so cool to be able to kind of make fresh pasta like that. I've already got a friend who's opening up a restaurant in Boulder, and they've already kind of they've committed to buying one of these units. So I'm excited for my friend Josh to come in and kind of play around a little bit and work with him and but then also show him some of the other opportunities that we have in our kitchen as they expand their operation.
Yeah,
So you know,
the pasta is
it's a
so
great way to
easy.
get somebody in here. Yeah, it is so easy, but it's
Yeah.
so cool.
Ryan, we made pizza dough for that school event for our lunches, and we had to go thir- um, 67% hydration. I always have to go. I can't do the 63 or 65 um, hydration. I always have to go more. It's just nothing works here. Same thing with the pasta.
So
I have
dry.
to go.
So
I have to go
yeah,
um, 32% hydration on my pasta.
Yeah. Arizona's not the wettest place there is.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Wish we can give you some of the water up here. Yeah. This weekend it was like almost 70 degrees all weekend. It was beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful outside. And now it's like 40 degrees outside and raining
yeah.
again.
We're gonna get snow here today, I think. So it's
Seriously?
Oh goodness.
we're still in
Oh,
spring. Yeah, yeah.
that's crazy. And what's Arizona looking like, Robert? No, it's gonna be 95 tomorrow. Have to wear a coat.
85 and sunny every day.
Oh, yeah. Bring your light jacket.
I told you that that first job I had, I was working for a bunch of old hippies up in Evergreen, and we couldn't listen to our rock and roll music. We had to listen to Gregorian chants because the rock and roll music was bad for the vegetables. So you know, we would have Gregorian chants and kind of have, you know. So once the owner left, me and my friends would crank up the Black Flag then and have some
Yeah.
fun with that. But I don't know if the vegetables really noticed the difference.
And then
But
all the vegetables rotted for some reason. It was crazy.
they did. They did. They did. Yeah.
So what's on your schedule for, let's see. So this is your first week back. This is your first week in the
Yep.
office.
First-
Your
Yep. First week
fourth
back.
week with Ignite.
Yep.
You've got a presentation tomorrow.
Yes.
And then what are you looking to accomplish the rest of the week? and next
Well,
week.
the rest of this week, as we talked, we've been without a chef here for a couple of months here in Denver, so I need to kind of get organized and clean up a little bit. There's a fair. We just moved into this office like 9 months ago, too, right?
Mhm.
We haven't been in this
Right.
space for too long, so there's still some construction debris, some organizing to do here. And then, Robert, you and I went over our scorecard today, so I've got to start reaching out and joining some organizations and get recertified on some stuff and continue working on those certifications. So should be a pretty exciting
Yeah.
week, actually. A
Okay.
couple of hours organizing, cleaning, and then kind of tracking some leads down
Gonna
and working on my continuing education here.
gonna feed the office
Nice.
and try to make some new besties.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, yeah.
Because
I got to tell Diana.
because if you go a couple of weeks without feeding them, they're going to
I
become
know.
restless little beasts, and they're going to
I
actually
know.
be, being like, "Hey, chef, when are you feeding me?
I know.
I need some
I know.
food."
The pressure after tomorrow, I think the pressure will be on. So I'll start. You guys have been encouraging me just to kind of go out and shop and get some stuff cooking here. So we'll get them fed. We'll
Yeah,
get everybody fed. I
Yeah,
got
the
still have to turn on the pizza ovens and get all that rolling and make some
burn
pizza
some
dough.
stuff and just see how fast the ovens can cook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know like the first week I had my Vulcan range, every time I put a saute pan on there and I fired it up and I throw, whatever, onions, garlic, whatever in there. I turned around and thinking I got plenty of time, burnt the shit out of everything. First
Yeah.
week, I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, I was not
Yeah.
expecting that oven to be that fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a great learning experience. And, now I got a story because I burnt some shit.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm
That's
excited
like
to
my
do
every
that.
day.
Well, the challenge of this space too is it's so big is that my dry storm is way over here, the
Right.
cooking equipment's way over there. So really have to be organized, have all my mise en place in front of me and be ready to go. So
Yeah.
there's no walking away from the stove or walking away from the burners here
Right.
for a while.
And you're lucky because you got the one rev. I had a friend in town a while ago, and it was the first time I cooked for them. And I put chicken in my Woodstone oven, burnt the shit out of it. Yep, just forgot about it. We were talking, and I was like, "What is that smell? Oh my god!"
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool. So happy you cooked for me. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Would you turn the burners up to like number 5 and just walk away?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's an automatic too, which is even
Oh,
sadder.
you've got the automatic.
So
Okay.
so that's great. Nice.
Paul, what's your favorite cocktail?
My favorite cocktail, that would be just bourbon on the rocks. That's it.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
but when it's summertime, we'd like to do a vodka tonic maybe.
hmm
Vodka martini with a twist. But I'll stick with the bourbon. Keep it simple.
And Andrew in the
Robert
office
just drinks pint glasses of vodka. That's what he's drinking right
But
now.
straight
Just pint glasses of vodka. It's wild.
room temperature.
Andrew there in your office, he makes a really good old fashioned with bourbon.
Oh, does he?
So you have to have him
Yeah,
do
he
that.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing
I'll-
too
I'll
is
have-
because you do so much entertaining there in that office, is think about doing some of your own infusions. And the combi works awesome for doing infusions because like I make limoncello here every
Oh, cool.
every year. And I
Yeah.
I try to get the Meyer lemons if I can and get those. And really it's like 12 lemon zests or the entire zest off the lemon, 12 lemons to a liter of vodka and
Uh-huh.
vacuum seal it and then cook it at 121 degrees for a half hour. I just let
Wow.
it sit overnight. I strain it and then I cut it with simple syrup and it's really good. So,
That's really cool.
you could do your own
Yeah.
bitters, you could do your own other, infused things, go crazy with some of the seasonal
that's cool,
stuff
yeah.
and then, have that as the Ignite cocktail for one of those Carl evening events.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'd never really thought about doing that. That's really cool. I'll have to look into that. And then we're gonna have to try that margarita ice cream too that everybody's talking about.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to get that going. My friend that I had mentioned who was going to come in and play with pasta, he was really excited by that idea as well. So we're going to try to get that set up here, get him going on that for his
Nice.
Mexican concept.
Paul, tell us a little bit about hobbies or being able to what do you like to do in some downtime?
Yeah.
Well, I live in Golden, Colorado, which is at the foothills here. So we've got some amazing trails. So it's nice to put a good book on tape on and get a couple of miles cranked out. Just do a nice mellow hike on the afternoon. I did that this last weekend. Got a couple of miles in, and it's been a while, but I want to get back into fly fishing again this year as well. So I kind of put the gear up for a while when I had a bad knee, and a couple Christmases ago, I had my knee replaced and I'm feeling better. So I'm excited to get back and go stand in the water and see if I can catch some fish. So We'll do some fishing and do a lot of hiking.
Very cool.
Get outside and enjoy Colorado.
Hopefully your summer's not really dry this year, because you guys really didn't get a bunch of snow.
I know it's going to be it's going to be tough to fish this year. That's for sure. They're already kind of warning us about drought conditions. So wow. it's going to be bad. It's going to be really.
I saw that they're draining one of your reservoirs, right? Because it's so shallow. There's too much evaporation.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the thought process is. I think the water level is so low that the water might become toxic. So I think actually starting this weekend, they're opening it up for people to kind of come in and just kind of start harvesting the fish, any fish that have survived. I think that I read somewhere that over the last couple of years, Department of Wildlife has stocked the reservoir with like 8 million fish. Now, there's not that many in there now, but they want people to harvest the fish and take advantage of that opportunity before they completely drain the reservoir.
Interesting.
But it's going to be bad. They're already there's some reservoirs up in the mountains that are already making plans to kind of scale back their boating programs and their docks. And then some of the rafting companies are really nervous as well, because they're just not going to have that runoff.
It's like Idaho Springs is like entire income for the year is that rafting.
Yeah, exactly. And everything, the whole Arkansas River Valley, right? So all Salida and all that. So we'll see what happens. They might get a short season, but it's not going to be great. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. That was a lot of fun. I'm really excited to be part of the Ignite team. I'm excited to see what we come up with here in the future, and we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, it's been fun getting to know you a little bit better. We all got to meet while you traveled around for your onboarding, but learned a few new things about you. Welcome to the team. Excited to be working with you.
Yep, excited that you're here too, man. Looking forward to it. Glad that we got you on here so you can get introduced to everybody as well.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, that was another great episode of our podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And don't forget to click and subscribe.